How's it going, everybody? Today, we're back with some more scary stories. I wanted to do more of these for a while now, but I just haven't. But, yeah, this is one of my go-to, scary story channel, IMR Scary Tales. We got 3 true ruthless horror stories animated. Yeah, let's get into it. I hope you guys got your blankets, maybe a drink, and some snacks. Let's go.
Over the years, we've seen incidents and cases that logic and science can't explain. It was nothing new to us. Stuff Lorraine and I were used to. But nothing could have prepared us for the house on Chase Street. When we first got to the Smurl family's home in West Pittsons, Pennsylvania, the summer sun felt heavy, but the house looked dark, like it swallowed the light. The porch steps groaned like bones breaking. The paint was peeling, and the windows were covered in a greasy film. Even the grass around the house was dead, like the ground itself was poisoned. Lorraine grabbed my arm so tight.
And let me guess, they're gonna be like, okay, yeah, we'll take it. Let's buy the house.
Hurt. Her
or some
face
shit like
turned
that.
white.
Ed,
she whispered.
It's everywhere here.
The smell hit me next. Rotten meat and burnt hair,
Or they
but weirdly
exploring.
sweet, like old candy. Inside, the walls seemed to move, like they were breathing. Jack and Janet Smurl
Wait, did I miss something? Did they say like they're visiting? I'm already confused. I'm not
stood
gonna
in
lie.
the hallway, their eyes hollow, hands shaking. Their 4 girls hid behind them, too scared to speak. Upstairs, Jack's parents barely left their room.
Wait, no, I definitely meant. What is going on? Wait, I'm so confused.
It gets worse when it's dark.
Janet said.
What?
Her voice cracking.
What does that mean?
It touches us.
Wait,
Jack
what?
rolled up his sleeve to show bruises shaped like long fingers. It grabbed my ankle and dragged me off the bed, he said.
Some
Left
conjuring
us
shit?
Janet lifted her shirt. 4 deep cuts ran down her back, the skin black and wet.
They won't heal. They just leak.
The kids' stories were worse. The youngest.
Okay, now, normally, I'd be like, this is their fucking fault. They kind of just like a move, right? Just leave. I don't care. Sell the don't even, I'm not even selling it. Leaving. But I guess in some situations that might not work if something is attached to you and it would just follow you. But I don't think that's the case here.
Heather woke up screaming about a man with no face who pinched their toes.
Excuse
Twins
me?
Mary and Laura drew pictures of a shadow
Oh,
that
hell
lit
no.
the windows, leaving greasy streaks. The oldest, Susan, said her
why are we
closet
staying
door
here?
would creak open
Nope.
at night.
Nope,
and she'd hear
I'm
something
leaving. I'm
scratching the
leaving.
floor,
I'm
getting
apologizing
closer to her
before I
bed.
walk out the door,
At night,
and I'm
we
leaving.
set up cameras and tape recorders.
Nope. I don't want to know, bro. I don't want to know.
Lorraine sat on the floor, holding her cross, her eyes closed like she was listening for something. Midnight came. The house got too quiet. Then, a growl. Not a dog,
What?
not a person. Something deeper, meaner. The room turned freezing cold. Our breath turned
Okay,
to
yeah, so we
fog.
are
The
investigators.
growl became a
guess.
crash, walls shaking, doors slamming. Something heavy ran down the hall towards us. Thud, thud, thud.
What the fuck?
Each step makes the floorboards crack. Above us, the ceiling creaked like something was crawling up there, claws scratching the plaster. Then, a scream. Jack's mom. We ran upstairs. Her door
Dead.
shook like something was trying to break
They're
out.
dead.
When it flew open, the room stank like rotting meat. The old woman pointed to the corner, shaking. There, in the dark,
Oh.
a shape formed from the shadows. Tall, black as oil, with glowing yellow eyes. The
Bro,
air around it
did I be shitting, bro?
twisted, like heat off a fire. Lorraine jumped in front of me as it lunged. Then, it broke apart into flies that dropped dead on the floor. The
Ew.
next few days were hell. Jack got thrown into a dresser by nothing, his ribs cracking. Janet's hair got yanked so hard her neck snapped back, and she felt hot breath on her ear growled.
Mine.
Mine?
Kids' toys moved by themselves. Dolls with melted faces crawled up the stairs, and a rocking horse smashed
Yeah, no,
itself
why do we
to
want to be
pieces.
at this house?
One
Why?
night, the kitchen faucet
What
turned
could-
on by itself, spewing black water that smelled like sewage. The thing got stronger. Lorraine saw it crawl on the ceiling like a spider, legs bending wrong. Black mold spread on the walls,
fuck this shit. I'm leaving,
evil
bro.
markings, upside-down crosses, symbols like goat heads. Mirrors exploded, glass shards.
Shout out Bill Cipher.
Making patterns that hurt
If
to
you know,
look
you
at.
know.
The walls leaked black slime that burned skin and made the kids puke. One night, Lorraine told me what she felt during her trance.
It's not just one ghost, Ed. It's hundreds.
Well, no
Trapped
fucking
here,
shit.
Turning into something hungry.
She shook, describing a pit full of screaming people, all stuck together, rotting. We called Father Dylan, an old priest who'd done
He ain't gonna
exorcisms
do
before.
shit.
He walked in and froze. "This place stinks of hell," he said. We started the exorcism at noon. The priest shouted prayers, but the house fought back. Floorboards shot nails up like spikes. The
Damn.
Bible caught fire. A chandelier fell, almost hitting him. He kept going, splashing holy water that hissed on the walls. Then, silence. For a second, we
Dead.
thought we won. The laughs started low, like a sick joke. The walls bulged, shapes pressing against them.
That'd be
Hands,
freaky.
Faces, all trying to break through. Father Dylan's nose bled. "It's not leaving!" he yelled. Then, a cut opened on his cheek like a knife slashed him. That night, the thing went wild. Jack woke up, unable to move, something crushing his chest. Janet floated off her bed, her back
Excuse me?
bending until it snapped before she dropped to the floor. In the girls' room, Heather's teddy bear exploded, spitting out maggots that crawled into their ears.
Bro, that would be worse than anything. No.
The whole time, a voice boomed, a mix of screams and growls.
Why are we still in the house? Leave.
Flesh to break, bones to drink.
We ran at sunrise, the Smurls piling into our car with nothing but their clothes, but the darkness followed. In their new apartment, sinks spat black goo. Family photos burst into flames. Heather's reflection in the mirror moved on its own,
Bro.
mouthing words that made her
I
talking
might,
for
like,
weeks.
leave the game
One
if you
night,
get what I'm
Jack's
saying.
dad woke up to find his pillow soaked in blood, though he had no wounds. The TV would turn on by itself, showing static with glowing eyes in the center. It took 3 years of prayers, charms, and sleepless nights for the hauntings to fade. The Smurls moved again and changed their phone numbers.
Yep.
But they still jumped at every
So
noise.
moving's not gonna.
The house on Chase Street is still there. New owners painted it yellow, but no one lived there long. Neighbors hear things. Kids
Who the fuck
laughing,
would buy it?
then screaming. A low growl in the dark saying, "More." Sometimes at midnight, the streetlights flicker out, and the house seems to grow taller, leaning over the sidewalk like it's watching. Not all hauntings can be cleansed. Not all demons can be cast out. Some just wait in the dark, getting hungrier. In the 1970s and 80s, the Smurl family experienced...
I was just about to say, I don't know if I believe this first one.
one of the most violent hauntings ever documented. After moving into their home, they were tormented by a demonic entity. The activity included
Oh my God.
foul odors and dark shadows creeping along the walls, loud banging and growling sounds at night, family members being levitated and scratched, a dark shadowy figure dragging one family member across the bed.
What the
Smurls
fuck?
sought help from Ed and Lorraine Warren, who confirmed demonic activity. Exorcisms were performed, but the family eventually moved to escape the horror.
Yo! Okay, that just made it like 10 times more scary. We're starting
I never
off strong.
thought ghosts existed, or curses, or any of the spooky tales told at bedtime to keep children out of abandoned houses. But all that changed when I became an employee at the Kansas State History Museum. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary.
Fuck
at
that.
first.
Nope.
was
I ain't
just a
doing no
security
night
guard,
shift.
the new guy.
Fucking bullshit by myself.
Patrol the halls, keep an eye out for anyone who tried to steal any of the artifacts, and...
You can have them. I ain't go... Nope, you can have them.
Sleep. But there was one exhibit that creeped me out, even in the daylight. The Bender family exhibit. It was the old senior guard, Hank, who had told me the tale. He was a gruff old fellow, a lifer in the museum
Okay, I like
trade,
Hank. He seems cool.
And he had that kind of voice that made each tale sound 1,000 times more terrible than it was. You ever hear of the Bloody Benders? He
Excuse me?
Evening, leaning on his flashlight. I nodded my head. Well, back in the 1870s, a family, father, mother, son, daughter, ran an inn out in the middle of nowhere. Travelers would stop by for a meal, maybe a night's rest, but they never
Dude,
left.
The way they're drawn is fucking freaky, bro.
The Benders had a trick, a curtain in their cabin that separated the dining area from the back. When they had a guest sit with his back to it, one of the men would strike his skull with a hammer, and the women would cut his throat. They'd then toss the body in a pit in the back. No one had any idea how many they murdered before people began suspecting.
I was gonna say, can I show this on YouTube, but it's in black and white. I think it's fine.
Something. I gulped. And they got caught? Hank laughed, shaking his head. Nope. They disappeared before the law arrived knocking. Some claim they ran. Others claim the townspeople killed them and silenced it. But their cabin, they torched it to the ground, claimed the ground was cursed. I giggled uneasily. So why does the museum have anything from it? Hank's face turned black. Few of the artifacts were recovered. Some tools, some furnishings, and that mirror. He gestured across the room. An old broken mirror.
Alright, thanks. No, actually, Hank, thank you. I'm staying away from that.
The wall had a darkened, aged surface. People say they see faces in it, shadows. Sometimes people hear screams at night late.
You don't gotta tell me this part of the story.
Museum legends. All places like these have them.
I'm quitting on the spot.
Have a good night, kid.
No, you ain't leaving, Hank. You're sitting right fucking here with me, bitch. You ain't going nowhere, Hank.
Each step creaked. Each little groan made me shiver. I made my rounds, passing by glass cases of rusty tools and bloodied knives.
Wait, no, big brain. If something happens, right, break one of the cases, set off the alarm. Security will show up.
The mirror was the worst. Each time I walked by, I could have sworn something was just out of sight. Waiting.
Why are you walking by it?
At 2 a.m., the first sound was heard. A muffled scream.
Yeah, no, I'm leaving, bro. Fuck this. This is not worth my $10 an hour, bro. I'm leaving.
The sound returned, low, panicked, as if a person were wedged in between the walls. Hello? My voice trembled barely. No reply, just empty.
Fun fact, my grandma actually used to be a security guard.
Yes, and then
I still find that hard to believe.
Bare feet on the museum floor. I spun around. Nothing. But the atmosphere clung heavy and thick and crushing. The cold hit like ice, my breath misting in the shadows. The mirror. I spun around. My face was there, but something was off. My breath caught.
Chat, would you? Anyways.
There was someone standing behind me. A woman. Her face was white, eyes empty. Blood trickling.
Okay, all jokes aside, that would be fucking terrifying.
She stretched out, fingers quivering, her lips moving as if she was attempting to say something. Then, she attacked. I stumbled backward, heart pounding. But when I spun around, no one was there.
Oh God.
Nothing.
Oh God.
I ran. Forget the job. Forget everything. I bolted for the door, but it wouldn't open. The security system had sealed them for the night. I grabbed my radio, but all I got was static. Behind me, the artifacts clattered in their cases. The tools rolled, the knives skidded across the glass. Then, the whispering began. Whispering at first.
She's got an amazing tattoo. She's got, whoa.
Why, YouTube, why am I getting an ad about jiggle physics, bro?
Then shouting. Dozens of voices, screaming, wailing, begging. The mirror broke.
Yeah, fuck. Dude, this is not worth $10 an hour, bro.
Frigid floor. The air grew rank.
When I was get going for the job interview, oh, so I'm on the night shift? Yeah. Is that okay? Yeah, I quit. I'm quitting on the spot. Fuck you. I'll be a security guard during the day when everybody else is around.
Shadows, skull white, jagged, its head hanging to one side
unnaturally. Fuck no.
Black pits for eyes, its mouth stretching wide enough to cleave its face in two. A hammer held in one bony fist. The walls began to bleed. Black
the walls were bleeding
out of the cracks, forming a puddle at my feet. Something moved in the darkness, a twisted, deformed figure with its limbs twisting in directions that shouldn't. It crawled towards me, speaking in voices that don't belong to this world. A woman's rotting hand burst forth from the floor, grasping at my ankle.
All for $10 an hour, unbelievable.
Closed around my skin, tugging me down. I screamed, thrashing about, but the hold only grew stronger. More hands burst forth from the ground, bony fingers grasping at my skin, pulling me further into the depths. The overhead...
Watch it just be like Hank or something fucking with him. That'd be a crazy twist.
The wall shadows crept and distorted, becoming long, skinny figures with empty eyes and twisted, grinning mouths. The laughter began, deep and rasping at first.
Damn.
Swelling into a frenzy of shrieking, demented cackles. My
sounds like a Joker laugh.
The broken mirror started to stir. It smiled, advancing, its eyes brimming with black emptiness. It extended a hand, pushing a palm against the glass, and then passing through as if the wall between worlds had disappeared.
In my other spooky videos reactions, my solution was always shotgun, but I don't think that's gonna work in this situation.
I struggled, fighting against the cold clutch of the hands. The last thing I remember was seeing my own face looming over me, speaking words I couldn't hear. Then, blackness consumed me. I awoke in the morning. The museum was fine. No shattered mirror and no artifacts spilled across the floor. Just
quit.
Looming over me, shaking his head. Looks like you had yourself a rough night. I sat up, my body throbbing. You didn't see anything? Hank just grinned, but his eyes were different. Something told. Guess you believe the stories now. I left that day, never went back.
Yeah.
Every so often in the middle of the night, I still hear them, the screams, and I know whatever is haunting that place, it's still waiting. The Bloody Benders were a family of serial killers who lured travelers to their Kansas cabin in the 1870s.
Oh my God.
Murdered them and buried their bodies in the yard. After the Benders vanished to escape justice, locals reported horrifying paranormal activity.
It's scarier when they actually give you like the news rundown of what happened.
The abandoned house. Muffled screams and cries for help. Apparitions of the victims wandering the land. Furniture moving on its own and unseen forces pushing visitors. Horses refusing to go
All I'm going to say is thank God I'm watching this at 12 p.m. and not 12 a.m.
for the property. The house was eventually burned down due to fear, but the land remains infamous for eerie encounters.
Sorry.
I never thought my past would come back to haunt me like this. Not here, not now.
Literally,
not
though,
with
probably.
his face grinning from every headline. Those dead fish eyes staring through the screen as if they could still dissect me.
What?
It started like any other monotonous day at work. If you could call the suffocating heat of the bakery's ovens and the reek of burnt sugar.
Monotony.
The industrial fans groaned like dying animals, their blades slicing through air thick with the
that guy looks like he hasn't slept in about a week.
Cloying sweetness of caramelizing dough. My apron clung to me, damp with sweat and flour.
Dude, she looks... The art style just makes it freaky.
The oven's glowing jaws. Timothy Bass drifted through the haze like smoke, always watching.
Oh, hell nah,
His
bro.
boots squeaked against the linoleum in a rhythm that matched the pulse throbbing in my throat. He'd materialize behind the women, always the women. His breath a wet rasp against their necks as he...
reached for a muffin.
Or...
adjusted the thermostat.
Once, I caught him sniffing the chair where Janine had been sitting, his nostrils flaring like a hound's, fingertips digging into the vinyl until it crackled. When I froze, a tray trembling in my hands, he turned slowly, smiled. His teeth were too white, too straight, as if they'd been filed to points. "Something wrong?" he asked, tilting his head like a curious predator.
I don't think I've ever... I'm glad I haven't, but I've never seen anybody actually sniff a chair.
The scar on his left cheek thin, surgical, a pale worm.
I've heard the joke for many years now, but...
twitched as he spoke. I shook my head, my tongue glued to the roof of my mouth, but I knew the way prey knows the shadow circling overhead isn't just a cloud. It wasn't until years later, scrolling through cold case files at 3 a.m. while my husband snored oblivious beside me, that I saw her name again. The screen's blue light carved hollows
isn't that just
the
her?
Dark, and there she was, Mandy, her senior photo glowing like a ghost. Acme, Washington,
found dead.
1989. A girl so vibrantly alive she seemed to burn through the pixelated image. Wild auburn curls, freckles like scattered cinnamon, eyes the fierce green of summer leaves before they rot. A track star, a fighter.
Found dead.
The kind of girl who'd laugh as she outran the boys. Her German Shepherd Duke loping at her heels like a tawny shadow until November 24th. She had gone for a jog with her German Shepherd, a routine run, something she had done 100 times before. But on that fateful
No shot she got attacked while a German Shepherd is right next to her.
Day, she didn't come home. Her dog returned alone, its fur damp, its eyes wild. Something was wrong. Something unholy had taken root in the small town, and its name had no face. Not yet. 3 days later, 2 fishermen found Mandy. The Nooksack River had peeled her to horror, its icy fingers probing every wound, every violation. Her skin was the color of a week-old bruise, lips parted in a silent scream, hair tangled with twigs and riverweed like a crown of thorns. They'd pulled her onto the bank and one of the men vomited into the shallows. Bruises bloomed across her legs in the shape of grasping hands. Crescent moon cuts scored her palms. From her own nails, the coroner would say, as she clawed at her attacker's face. But the worst was her eyes. Wide open, clouded, hungry, as if death hadn't stopped her from searching for the monster who'd done this. The town unraveled.
It was a guy, bro, at the bakery.
Fathers cleaned shotguns at kitchen tables. Mothers checked closets before bed. Reverend Cole preached about the devil walking among them, his spit flecking the pulpit as he snarled, "Look to your neighbors!" For weeks, the only footprints in the autumn mud belonged to detectives and grieving parents. Then the snow came, burying leads, burying hope, burying Mandy in a polished casket too small for her laughter. The case froze, buried, forgotten.
And I get another ad, bro.
This
I don't care, bro.
That will pass.
Until 2017, until Detective Bohey on
Wait, so how many years was that?
And rage thawed it with a DNA test. Until I sat in a too-cold interrogation room, my breath fogging the two-way mirror, and whispered,
Timothy Bass.
I told them everything. How he'd linger by the time cards, memorizing schedules. How he'd hum Sweet Child of Mine while scrubbing...
Okay, but she died years later, though, so how does...
Blood. Chicken blood, he claimed, from the meat slicer. Once, after Mandy's face flashed on the break room TV, he'd sighed. Pretty thing. Bet she was wild up to the end. His tongue darted out, lizard quick, catching a drop of coffee on his lip.
Ugh.
The cops found the soda can in his garbage, buried under a rat's nest of Hustler magazines and frayed ropes. A Pepsi from 1989, its logo faded, dented as if kicked in a rage. They told me the DNA was a
statistical miracle.
Saliva on the rim,
what does
skin
that mean?
cells in the grooves, a map of guilt etched in double helixes. The trial was a circus of horrors. Timothy's lawyer painted Mandy as a free-spirited teen who'd explored the woods with a secret lover. The gallery erupted. Mr. Staubach lunged, howling, until bailiffs dragged him out. Timothy just smiled, fingers steepled, watching me from the bench. I felt those fingers on my
Wait,
throat.
I'm so confused, bro. Did she die when they were working at the fucking bakery, or did she die now? Cause like what?
Snap. When the prosecutor displayed the Coke bottle, the one found near Mandy's body, its glass smeared with Timothy's sweat, I gasped.
Cause like obviously that dude killed her, right? I understand that. But what I don't understand, she was saying, oh yeah, no, he would like look at the time cards and shit and find out everybody's schedule. What would that matter? Years down the line. She's not working there anymore.
The courtroom tilted. For a heartbeat, I was in those woods, the air thick with the stench of crushed ferns and copper, her screams clotting in my lungs. The jury deliberated for 8 hours. When the foreman spat,
"Guilty."
I can say with this one, shotgun would solve the problem.
Timothy finally moved. He leaned toward me, cuffs clinking, and mouthed, "You're next." They gave him 27 years.
Come at me, bitch.
27
Bring
years
it
for
on.
stealing a lifetime, for turning a river into a tomb. The judge called it closure, but closure is a myth sold to the grieving. There's no coffin heavy enough to crush the what-ifs. Now I dream of her, not the Mandy in the photos, but the other Mandy, the one the river made. Her skin sloughs off in translucent ribbons, lips nibbled by crawdads, eye sockets
I'm about to say,
teeming
those
with
bugs
leeches.
crawling on her.
She runs, but her legs buckle, tendons snapping like rotten rubber bands. The woods creak and moan, branches knitting into a cage. Behind her, footsteps, heavy, relentless, a whistle, sweet child of mine, off-key and dripping malice.
Help me.
She gurgles, river water geysering from her throat.
Why didn't you help me?
Wait, so is she a ghost now?
I wake screaming, my sheets soaked in November rain. My husband murmurs, "Nightmare?" and rolls over. He doesn't understand. They never do. In 1989, 18-year-old Mandy Stavik disappeared while jogging
this is
near
the
her
most
home
creepy
in
part about it.
Acme, Washington.
The
Her
rundown.
body was found in the Nooksack River 3 days later. Despite an extensive investigation, the case went cold for nearly 30 years. In 2017, detectives used forensic genealogy to identify Timothy Bass, a former neighbor, as a suspect. DNA recovered from Bass's discarded Coke can matched...
No, wait, I'm still confused, bro. She went on a walk with her German Shepherd. If this guy walked up, tried to hurt her, why didn't the dog eat his fucking neck?
Evidence from the crime scene. He was arrested and convicted of murder, receiving nearly 27 years in prison. The case was groundbreaking for its use of genetic genealogy in solving decades-old crimes.
I was about to say, how long did it fucking take to get this motherfucker? Look at him. He's a grandpa, bro. Well, probably not, because... Yeah, anyways. The scariest one was definitely the first one, I think. Or was that the one with... Yeah, no, it was the first one. It was the first one. That's definitely the scariest one. But... yeah, these were pretty scary. If you want me to do more scary videos, let me know. Maybe even suggest some, and I might check those out. But anyways, that was 3 true ruthless horror stories animated by IMR Scary Tales. Go check it out. Go check them out. Let me know what you thought of it. And of course, thank you for stopping by, and I hope you have a good day.